Hey guys, welcome to the View Cryptos channel. Today the price of XLM is 30 cents and I want to show you that for the last year, the chart for the last year, in the first half of last year actually, the price of XLM was around 3 cents. So a really great increase, a really huge increase for less than a year, almost 10x. So really huge gains, and I hope that most of you managed to buy this dip here. I hope so. And of course we are waiting for even greater gains in the future. I hope this year. We already had a big announcement from the Ukrainian Central Bank that they're partnering with the Stellar Development Foundation and they're working on their CBDC on the Stellar network. And still some people are continuously spreading fear, uncertainty and doubt regarding the partnership between the Stellar Development Foundation and the Ukrainian government. You know that the Ukrainian government announced that they picked actually the Stellar network for issuing their CBDC, and not only that, but also they want to build on top of the Stellar network a whole actually digital asset ecosystem, and they're going to do this with the help of the Stellar Development Foundation. So some people are still saying that the Ukrainian government are going to use some private clone, some private copy of the Stellar blockchain, and they hired the Stellar Development Foundation to help them do this. But first of all, they used a private copy of the Stellar blockchain in their pilot project in order to test how it's working. And second of all, you can't just hire the Stellar Development Foundation, because the Stellar Development Foundation is a non-profit organization and its mission is to promote the public Stellar blockchain. So they're working for the global the global adoption of the Stellar blockchain. This is their mission. So in one of my recent videos I actually explained this, but I just want to remind you this part here from Stellar's website, SDF mandate. So the Stellar Development Foundation is a non-profit organization whose mission is to create equitable access to the global financial system. Okay, in all, we are a global company, almost 60 people strong, working to make Stellar the global payment standard. The foundation's organizing mission is to create equitable access to the global financial system. The Stellar technology is our means to that goal. SDF has no shareholders, no dividends, and no profit motive. So they have no profit motive, and it is nonsense to say that the Ukrainian government hired them to help them build their own blockchain. No, they hired them in order to help them build on top of the Stellar blockchain network, so the public blockchain. The foundation is funded by lumens generated at Stellar's inception, and today we hold roughly 30 billion of them. All of those lumens will eventually be used to enhance and promote Stellar or to pay taxes as we do so. So their mission is to promote Stellar, to work for the global adoption of the Stellar protocol. And the good thing about the Stellar network is that the Stellar Development Foundation, they are actually very transparent about how they're going to use the funds that are that they hold at the moment. You can check every account here and you can track the movements of these funds. So it's very transparent, and their model is very different from Ripple's model of doing business. So actually the Stellar Development Foundation they're not doing business, they're a non-profit organization. Okay, and we have some news from the IMF. Spend as much as you can. IMF head urges governments worldwide. Policymakers worldwide should embrace more spending to help revive their stuttering economies, the head of the International Monetary Fund said on Friday at Russia's annual Gaidar Economic Forum. Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva did not give any specific economic forecasts, but made clear her desire for governments to up their spending and that a synchronized approach internationally was best for growth. In terms of policies for right now, very unusual for the IMF, starting in March, I would go out and I would say, please spend. Spend as much as you can and then spend a little bit more, Georgieva said. I continue to advocate for monetary policy accommodation and fiscal policies that protect the economy from collapse at a time when we are on purpose restricting both production and consumption, she said. So basically what I understand is spend and create money out of nothing until we crash the entire economic system, the world economic system. So because when they're spending and actually they're what they are doing is they are doing credit creation, money creation basically, and they're printing money out of nothing. And when there is no products being created and the economy is actually not producing much, no services and no products, many people are out of work and they're just getting stimulus checks, for example in USA. We know that in Europe also the European Central Bank is also doing asset purchases, basically using this PEP program, Pandemic Emergency Purchase Program. This is the PEP program. The ECB's Pandemic Emergency Purchase Program is a non-standard monetary policy measure initiated in March 2020 to counter the serious risks to the monetary policy transmission mechanism in the outlook for the euro area posed by the coronavirus outbreak. So they are just creating money out of nothing in order to buy, in order to purchase assets. So the PEP is temporary asset purchase program of private and public sector securities. So this is actually how they create money out of nothing. And in the US also, so you can see here it is evident that actually we are in a bubble, and I don't know when the crash is going to happen, but I think that you can see with this is the Nasdaq index. Okay, you see this sharp increase, and also let's take a look at Tesla. So the stock market as a whole is in a bubble, in a giant bubble, which continues to rise. And of course, with the Biden administration, we're expecting more stimulus, more money created by the Federal Reserve. So basically what actually the head of the IMF is saying, that make the bubble even greater, and let's crash this old system and let's start building the new system. So build back better, you know, this is their slogan of you know, that Boris Johnson is using this, Biden is using this, and also Trudeau is using this slogan, build back better. So it is evident that they're working for the crash of the current system in order to build a better system after this after the old one crashes. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the new system is going to work. Today there was a digital conference organized by the IMF, and the head of the IMF answered some questions from reporters. So let's watch some parts of this digital conference, and after that let's try and analyze and translate actually what Kristalina Georgieva answered.
Yes, my name is Rafaela Lindeberg. I'm from Bloomberg, and I have two questions for Managing Director Georgieva. On fiscal stimulus, you said recently that governments should spend as much as they can to do whatever it takes to stimulate during this crisis. And Magdalena Andersson is known for a somewhat more frugal approach to fiscal policy. How do you expect to get along?
Much for this question. The point I made is one that we also heard from Minister Andersson, that we cannot afford to withdraw support prematurely until we see the health crisis in the rearview mirror. It is important that governments within their fiscal space, within their capacity, and of course reflecting on the needs of their economies, are there to make sure that we can build a bridge over the health crisis into recovery. As the minister emphasized, this support is not going to be forever. And at the point when we are through the health crisis, we do need to build fiscal consolidation measures that allow us to have the strength for future shocks to come. What we have seen in this crisis so clearly is that countries like Sweden that stepped into the crisis with strong fundamentals have been more resilient and more able to provide the support that is necessary. And let me stress that the affordability of fiscal measures and accommodative monetary policy is a factor in the speed of the recovery. Advanced economies have been able to provide, on average, 20% of GDP in terms of support measures. Emerging markets, 6%, low-income countries, 2%. And for us at the fund, it is very important to be there for countries that are with very limited fiscal space, so we can help them also provide the necessary support while we are striving to exit the health crisis.
So basically, this money printing is going to continue until the health crisis is over, and the developed countries like USA and like the countries from the European Union, actually the European Central Bank is going to create the money by asset purchases, of course, and the other countries that are not so developed, of course, they are going to get loans from the IMF. The IMF is here to the rescue, of course. And you know that with the loans there are always conditions, and they're making other countries accept some policies that they have to implement, specific policies instructed by the IMF when getting the loans from the IMF. And yeah, this is it actually. So the crisis is not over, and this year it is obviously it's going to continue, and the asset purchasing and the bubble is going to get bigger. So I don't know when this bubble is going to pop, but of course we all can understand that the rise of the cryptocurrencies is because of the aggressive policies of central banks, because of this crazy money creation. Actually, it's not money creation, it is currency creation, let's not forget. And that's why, in my opinion, the future of cryptocurrencies is very bright, and the Stellar blockchain and its native XLM cryptocurrency is going to be one of the big winners, because the new system is going to be built on using blockchain technology on top of public blockchain networks, because let's not forget that the public blockchain networks are the networks that are going to help different financial systems to become interoperable, because at the moment you know that there is a lot of friction in cross-border payments, and actually this is the idea of the Stellar blockchain network, to remove this friction and to help different financial systems, different currencies to be bridged using the Stellar protocol. And the use of the XLM, the native cryptocurrency of the Stellar blockchain, is not only to be used as to pay fees for the transactions and to pay fees for the account reserves and so on, but also to be used as a liquidity tool, to be used as a bridge currency. In order to exchange one fiat currency into another, in the center you can actually use XLM, and this way you can remove the burden of correspondent banking and the locked liquidity in correspondent banking systems. So this is it actually, basically. So let's watch actually the next part of this digital conference, and let's see what the next question is going to be.
And then we have a question from Reuters.
Good morning, Kristalina. So nice to see you. Happy New Year. And thank you, Madam Finance Minister. I wanted to follow up on what you said about the need to continue supporting the, or to find new resources. So there's been difficulty in getting agreement on having a new allocation of SDR, special drawing rights. Do you think that will change now that there is a change in the US government coming? Your largest shareholder has been opposed to doing a large allocation. I'm just trying to interpret your comment about the need for additional resources. I also want to ask you about the need to perhaps even look at the sale of gold reserves, and also the question of whether the freeze or the moratorium and debt service payments should be extended to, and also the common framework that was agreed by the G20 should be extended to include more countries. In other words, the middle income countries, small island states. Thanks.
These are also for our incoming chair. But let me, since you asked me, I would say a word, but I do hope that Magdalena would express views. These are shareholder questions, in fact. So first, let me say that we have seen a increased demand for reasons. Countries, emerging markets with weak fundamentals found themselves in grave difficulty because even with massive liquidity made available by major central banks that allowed many emerging markets to go at low cost, for this group of countries, this access is either non-existent or prohibitively expensive. So it became very important for the IMF to rapidly expand concessional finance, for which we did tap into existing SDRs. And I'm stressing this because it played such an important role in 2020. Some $20 billion of existing SDRs were provided to the IMF to on-lend to low-income countries at high national terms. That is going to be a need in the future. It will continue to be so important, even more important for us to be able to expand our capacity to support countries that are falling behind. Not to have the fiscal space for health measures and to protect the most today, but also to have fiscal space to take this transition to digital and green that the world as a whole is accelerating. And in that sense, having more liquidity, having more concessional capacity, a new SDR allocation can be very helpful.
Okay, so obviously they need more liquidity, and a new SDR allocation would be very helpful, and they need more resources. And of course, the financial system is going purely digital. So this is, of course, very good for cryptocurrencies. In my opinion, it is there is no question about it that cryptocurrencies are going to be a key part in the new world financial system. And of course, we're seeing that central banks are already working on their CBDC systems. There are some of them, of course, are still researching which technologies to use and so on. Some of them already have some pilot projects finished, and some of them are actively working, like the Ukrainian Central Bank, for example. They are actively working on implementing CBDC. And if one bank already announced that it is going to use the Stellar blockchain, believe me, there are going to be also other banks which are going to do so. And the idea of the Stellar blockchain is to help, I'm saying this again, it is to help make different financial systems, different banks from different countries interoperable. So interoperability is the key here. That's why I also think that blockchain protocols like the Cosmos network and their inter-blockchain communication protocol is going to be really, really valuable in the future and in the new financial system that is going to be built. And maybe it is actually it is currently being built. So very interesting times are ahead of us, and it's going to be really, really interesting and exciting to see how the Stellar network is growing. And I'm sure that this year is going to be the year of many announcements from central banks using public blockchains in order to issue their CBDCs, and they're all going to be interoperable, because actually this is the goal. This is the goal of the central banks, actually, to build one global financial system and to have a level playing field. So this is key. So that's all, guys. That's all for today. I really think that Stellar is going to be huge, and it is very good that we're already seeing a huge increase in the price of XLM in the last months. So really great news. What do you think? Is Stellar going to be really huge? So do you think that we're going to to see big announcements this year from central banks regarding the Stellar blockchain. Please leave your opinions in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe and share. Be safe and see you next time.